Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.
There he is.
Sorry, I had to switch my Wi-Fi.
Were you on 2G?
I was on 2G.
Yeah, because you were letting the kids have the good stuff, weren't you?
I was trying to let the kids have the good stuff. I was taking the bad stuff. But, now the kids are done with school, so I can...
You get to take the good stuff.
I can take the good stuff back. Yeah, that's all. So I'm taking the 5G.
That's totally a phenomenon of the schooling from home thing is you have like your 2G and your 5G channels and you're like, when your kids are schooling, you're like, I'll let them have the good stuff. I'll let them have the really nice Wi-Fi.
Let the kids have the good Wi-Fi. Yes.
I'll slum it over here on 2G.
I've been slumming it on 2G since Monday.
Yeah, I know, man.
I'll continue to slum it on Monday.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'll continue last Monday. God, they've been at it this is week number 2 for us. Is this week number 2 for you also?
This is technically week number 2. We started on last Wednesday, but the first 3 days, it was like, real softball. It was like a lot of like, hey, how we doing? How we feeling? We're going to have a great year. It's a lot of fun. This is the day that things kicked into high gear.
It got serious.
Yeah, and today we had our first hacker into the Zoom call at the tail end there.
Congratulations.
Completely destroyed it. And so the school is going, I guess we're going to have to be a little bit more careful about where we post our links. Basically,
you can't just put them anywhere anymore.
Exactly, because you can have them password protected, but if you've got like an online, like, hey, go check here, this class, then anybody can get in there, and any
they just look for it and they find the password, and then in comes
Johnny Trouble.
Problem guy. I had different people.
I think it's Nicky Joe Johnny Problem Guy.
Yes.
It's like that old. Do you remember that ad in when you would go to the movie theater? It was before movies, and the fake license plate was always Johnny Teenager. Do you remember that?
Johnny
Teenager. It was like an advertisement about like IDs. I can't remember if it was like I can't remember what it was for, but they would show this fake blonde kid sitting there, and the name was Johnny Teenager.
And his hair was probably feathered, right? Back then,
feathered and blonde. Yeah, and he looked like a bully in a high school movie for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
he had a single earring.
Yeah.
Yeah. And probably and like a wife beater, but like a colorful, like a nice looking one.
He had a Letterman jacket on, if I'm remembering.
Was it a Letterman jacket?
Letterman jacket. It's total bully.
We're thinking of different bullies.
Look, when you're categorizing bullies, you got to get specific about their wardrobe. Bullies get up in the morning and they go like, "What's it gonna be today? The turned up polo collar or the Letterman
My bully
jacket?"
was from Britain, from Great Britain.
Oh.
So he was
British
he
bully.
was so he was a little more fancy, but boy could he beat me up. Boy could he. I was about to say a bad word, but I can't say a bad word because we're a G-rated show.
We are PG. I'd say parental guidance, right?
Yeah, we're not G.
We're not G. We're a couple of G's.
We're a couple of guys.
Couple of guys on a PG show. But he could get
you're right. We're not killing Bambi or anything they do in PGs.
No, nothing like that.
We're not murdering parents so that we can have an adventure or anything.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. that's
you think of like G-rated movies. That's what they are. Like G-rated movies. It's for all audiences, and you can just send your kid to watch it, and they open up with. Dad is dead in The Lion King. Bambi's mom is shot.
I know.
With Aladdin's an orphan.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
I know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mufasa syndrome is like a real thing. I remember showing you in Lion King when he was pretty young. And for like a week after that, he wouldn't leave my side. And I was like, oh, man, that movie really messed him up,
Yeah.
So
he thinks you're done. He's like, at any point, my dad could get murdered.
At any moment, my Uncle Scar, and we do have an uncle. No.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was your first mistake, by the way, is nicknaming your brother Scar. That probably.
This is my brother Joel, but you can call him Scar. And I had Joel just come over and be like, one day I'll be king of your domain.
I know that your powers of pretension are as wet as a warthog's backside.
Oh,
Pathetic as you are. Pay attention. See, that's your dad.
Good.
That's your Uncle Scar singing.
That's Uncle
Scar.
My
words are a matter of pride.
How much of this should we allow to be in the podcast? Should we have just the whole thing?
Upstairs. I'll just keep singing. But we're talking kings in succession. Even you can't be caught unawares. I love that song.
Oh, it's a great one.
It's a good song.
It's a great movie. It's a classic film.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
How much of this should we allow to be in the show? Just everything we've said so far?
I think it's the Biofriendly Podcast. This show's a mess. Let's just
call it what it is. Well, we can jump in right now, and I thought this was
You don't want to hear me singing Scar?
I think for the rest of the show, I'll talk. You just do the entire Lion King from start to finish, okay?
Perfect. I can see what's happening. What? And they don't have a clue. Who will fall in love? And here's the bottom line. Our trio's down to 2. What? I'll say I can do all the characters, man.
See, he can do all of them, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, The Lion King. This is the Biofriendly Podcast featuring the cast of The Lion King, as performed by Noel Carroll. No, today it's funny. We talked a little bit about bullies and people picking on us and Johnny Teenager, and I guess it's a good segue into saying that you and I are going to live forever. And we say that all the time.
I've never been worried about bullies because I know. Yeah. I know that you and I are going to live forever.
Yeah. That is what we're going to talk about today.
Really? How we're going to do it?
How we're going to do it.
All right. I have to always knock on wood or laugh whenever I say that. I know. It is one of those things. There's a piece of me that worries that out of just because I'm saying it, that God will strike me down with thunder at that moment. Right. That you'll be in trouble. It's like, It's like when one of the first times when my son was young and Jamie and I were going out on a date, and had my mom watching him, and he said, "Promise me, you'll return safely." And like as soon as we said that, and promised him that we would return safely. As soon as I left, I was like, "Oh, we're so dead. We're so dead." I was like, and Jamie just like slapped my arm. But like the moment you have that, promise, you're like, "Oh, I've just totally cursed myself." It's over now. The odds of normalcy are ruined.
Yeah.
And I'm now, whatever extraordinary thing that would happen to ruin today has got to happen. It's
going to happen.
Absolutely.
Ruined. Ruined. Well, on the
our good friend Derek likes to say that.
Coined ruined.
Man, I love. It's now one of my favorites.
Yes,
just, you ruined my life.
In our short-lived but epic series, Doghouse,
which still has an unreleased episode sitting in a computer.
It does. There is an unreleased episode with me in a costume, a unique costume that was bought specifically for the show and never got to see the light.
We had a really good, we had a good little story arc there.
We did. Yeah. Noel and I went so deep that we had like a sheet of paper that to follow
the timeline
of Doghouse. So maybe one day, it'll be the Biofriendly Podcast presents Doghouse. Yeah. No, we're on the Biofriendly Podcast today. We're going to talk about living forever and jokes aside, prolonging your life as long as you can, living a life to the fullest. Health, yes.
Oh, that's good. You know what's fun about this is I have no idea. This is an area of the world of knowledge that I have no idea. So this will be a lot of fun because I'm going to learn something today.
I'm here to educate you and the rest of the world on how to have a long life. And so we're going to go kind of in 2 roads. So first, I'm going to just open us up with just some basic knowledge, but then I'm going to go into something more specific that we're going to tackle in a sec. But right now, this is just we're going to break down 13 habits linked to a long life, and these are all backed by science. They've been studied, there's been observed, and these are things that you can do in your day-to-day life that can make sure that you live your life to the fullest. Okay. So right out of the gate, one that we all know, and I like the way that they state this. Avoid overeating.
Wow.
So I like the way that they say that because this is less focused on weight, because we all have different body types and we all are built different ways. And sometimes when it's just talking about diets and health fads and trends, those are difficult to put our heads around, and it seems they're ever changing. But this is a really straightforward thing. It's avoid overeating. It's the idea of don't feed yourself until you're like, I couldn't possibly put another bite of food into my face.
Which, let's be honest, that's what has happened, particularly in America over the years. It's like the meals have gotten bigger, the sizes of the drinks have gotten larger, and it's like it's hard to not just stuff yourself. Particularly because if you're raised as I was, with like you finish every drop on that plate because someone is starving in Africa.
Yes. You have to finish your plate because you're lucky to even have one. Right?
Yes, you're so fortunate. Look at how much food is here, and you should eat every plate of it. But I don't like mashed potatoes. I mean, I do now, but I didn't then.
But you learned to like them.
I learned to love them. But it's interesting because you have a feel like I have a feeling, and maybe this is not everybody. Maybe it's just how it came out for me. But I have this inkling that I really should finish what's on my plate. Like what's there, I should eat all of it.
Yeah.
But maybe I don't have to eat all of it. Maybe it's healthier to eat until I don't need to eat anymore.
Yes.
Okay.
It's good. So it's all about the amount of food that we put in. And you're so right that we live in a culture now where it's like massive, super size me, the food that you get is large portions, but really our bodies are a little bit more in tune with having just what you need to eat to get, to the next few hours of the day until the next meal. And it's not really about finishing a meal, sitting back and touching your stomach and going, oh no, my productivity is completely shot now. That's what you don't want. Oh no. Okay. So, but we're gonna circle back on this because this is just kind of where we're touching on the top of these because we're gonna get in deeper to some of them. But the next one, this one's a tough one for me. Okay. It just says eat more nuts. Go nuts.
Really?
Yes.
I don't eat enough nuts.
Yeah. So nuts are nutritional powerhouses. They're rich in protein, fiber, antioxidants, beneficial plant compounds. They're a great source of several vitamins and minerals such as copper, magnesium, potassium, folate, niacin, and vitamins B6 and E. So nuts are great for you, but I have a little bit of a problem with this. There are two nuts that I despise. I despise them. I can't.
What are the nuts you can't with?
Pecans and walnuts. I can't with those.
I don't like walnuts either. And I don't particularly love pecans. They don't taste like food. They taste like, one tastes like you put cardboard in your mouth.
Yes.
And the other one tastes kind of like you're chewing on someone's, literally, I think they call it a walnut because you feel like they took a piece of a wall out and they put it in your mouth.
One of them is very waxy, and in the times that I don't know if it's a pecan or walnut, but it's very waxy. It's like you've bitten off of like a part of a candle, and or at least that's how my body remembers it because it just is awful. And my whole life, it's like they always would show up in breads and desserts, and my parents would like make something, and there would be like pecans or walnuts in there, and I'd be like, Mom, what
have you done?
What have you done? So much so that they would have to like bake part of the pan where half of it would be, that's where the nuts, and then the other half was no nuts for me.
Have you had a macadamia nut before?
I love macadamia nuts.
That's a pretty good nut.
That's a good nut. Cashews I love as well.
I can live with cashews. Obviously, the world is nuts for peanuts, but I think those are legumes.
Yeah. I
don't think peanuts are actually nuts. I think they're neither peas nor nuts. I think they're legumes.
Call now and let us know if peanuts are...
This is something I got third hand from my wife when I was supposed to be listening to her, but I wasn't paying attention.
Good. I hope she heard you say that. That's great.
She will.
Okay. She will.
She'll let me have it. But one thing I also learned from my wife is that an almond is a nut.
An almond is a nut.
And I have a protein shake every morning now because, as you know, I've upped my health game.
You really have.
And my protein shake, instead of doing traditional milk from the cow, I have actually, this is how far my wife has driven me into healthiness and legitimate insanity. Yeah. I have almond milk.
Almond milk.
I have almond milk with my smoothie in the morning.
And you know what? Almond milk.
I'm learning to love it.
I like almond milk. I like it a lot. And almond is one of the nuts that when I was a kid, I didn't like it, but I grew to like it. I've tried with the other two, but I'm just not going to do it. But almonds, I did learn to love them, and they are delicious. And I think they're one of the best nuts for you, to be honest. So,
good.
Yeah,
well, that's good.
So
I'm doing that.
You're doing great.
But to get handfuls of nuts and to eat them all the time, I'm gonna have to work on that. We're gonna have to get there.
I think that's another good one. All right. Okay. So then next is try out turmeric. Turmeric.
Oh,
yes.
I love turmeric. I have turmeric every night.
So that's really good. It's an antioxidant. It's anti-inflammatory. It has a compound in it called curcumin. And curcumin is thought to help maintain brain, heart, and lung function, as well as protect against cancers and age-related diseases. So turmeric is a very good spice, very predominant in India, and it is something that's really good for your health as well. So
I have a teaspoon of that and a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar with a little bit of juice to kind of take away the kick. That's my nighttime ritual.
That's why this episode is called "We're Gonna Live Forever," because
I am gonna live forever.
You are already doing all the things that I'm telling you need to do.
I thought I was joking.
No, you're not. So next up, eat plenty of healthy plant foods. That seems kind of like a obvious choice. Everybody now knows that fruit and veggies and having these things that come from our plants and come from the earth are good for you. And
but have you noticed how hard that is to do, though?
It is very hard.
Unless you decide I am going to eat plants, it's funny how easy it is to not to.
Yes.
To not to. Because like the food that's available, like if you ask what my daily vegetable count was a year ago, I'd say, well, there was a tomato and some lettuce in my burger. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Before we got all into the environment and helping things and being more careful about that, I think about, and I was probably an average American at that point, right? Like an average human. Like you just go find food somewhere. Right. Or maybe it was in the taco that I had some tomatoes in it and some onions.
But it was like you were making
that was it.
Yeah, you weren't making a conscious effort to eat vegetables. They were just added into the food that you had. And also, a lot of times we don't know, at least for me before, if I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't know what to do with the vegetables. But now, being at home more, you start to realize, there's a lot of cool ways that I can grill these, or I can put them on the stove. I can add these spices. I can make fruits and vegetables and things like that a little bit more interesting and flavorful. But yeah, instinctively, when you buy it, you look at it kind of like, what am I supposed to do with this thing?
Yeah. Did you find that the pandemic almost helped because you were at home and had to cook more? Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Yeah, you had to find ways to make more foods interesting because you had to cook more.
Yes. Yeah. And we also learned that in the first few months, the grocery runs started to change because we were buying like a lot of the same kind of easy meals that were easy to throw together. And we found that they weren't as healthy. And we were like, this doesn't seem to be doing much good for our health. We seem to be gaining weight unnecessarily. And so we kind of had to switch into the fresher food and start going, okay, we need to find new dishes that you're not relying upon this stuff that's, you're just thawing frozen foods. You got to get, you know what I mean?
There's only so many Red Baron French bread pizzas you can eat before you realized I've had too many Red Baron French bread pizzas.
On day 27, and the kids said, I don't want pizza ever again. You go, maybe we're not doing this right. So
Right. Well, we probably could look at our videos over the quarantine period, and we probably went from like a size to a much larger size back to a much smaller size than when we started, I would bet, if you looked at the video of what we look like.
We are for sure Christian Bailing. This is, if you're not familiar with Christian Bale, the actor, he changes his body type for every movie he does. And I could describe quarantine as getting cast for, Batman. And then suddenly you're in that movie where he played Dick Cheney. Yeah. And now you're working. Now I'm working my way back to like a nice, healthy, I don't want to get.
You're Enzo Ferrari. You're in the Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah. I don't want to get to machinist. Machinist is unhealthy. You want to stay in this. So we're Christian Bailing right now for sure.
You are bailing.
All right. Next up is stay physically active. Again, this is one of those things that obviously, but I have something cool to say about this. And once we dig in a little deeper, this is so stay physically active. Don't smoke. I think most people kind of know that.
I wonder if, although the vaping is kind of picked up, hasn't it? It's been
smoking is strongly linked to disease and early death, and there's cigarettes are problematic, but vaping, they're finding all sorts of problems with that. I think that if you can get yourself off of relying upon any kind of tobacco or nicotine is probably a good thing in the long run.
What about like herbals stuff?
That I don't know. It just says, one study reports that individuals who quit smoking by age 35 may prolong their lives by 8.5 years. And then quitting smoking in your 60s may add up to 3.7 years. So it's like the younger you are when you stop doing this stuff. But as for herbal or
I guess we'll find out in another 50 years when everybody either dies or doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that, and again, I think that there's been enough testing on cigarettes and tobacco and nicotine that they know it's a problem, and it does lower your life expectancy if it's constant. Right. So there is a way that you can moderation, because I do have a story about centenarians coming up, and the person smoked and they lived. But again, that's genes. So it could be genes right there. Not the kind you wear, but the kind you're born with. All right. So moderate your alcohol intake. So again, this is a moderation thing. It's talking about having it in moderation.
Cut it back to like 6 tonight.
Yeah. Just go from your usual 18. Yeah. Dial it back to 6 to 9 per day.
Oh, okay. I get it. I could probably find a way to do that, but not on weekends, right?
Right. No. Weekends are not counted in your body clock.
Apparently, if you're going to live forever, weekends are not a problem.
Everybody knows that by the time you hit to Friday, your body forgets until Monday.
Yes, that's right.
No, it's, in all honesty, it just says, wine is considered particularly beneficial due to its high content of polyphenol antioxidants. And so basically, it's all about having that, 1 to 2 you can have occasionally. That it's all about, if you start getting into the large numbers, that what's called binge drinking, that's not good for your body. So it's the more moderation stuff. Okay. So here's a much more emotional one. Prioritize your happiness. So make happiness a big priority in your life.
Really?
Yeah, lucky for you and me,
live forever.
We laugh all the time, and we try to be happy and joyful. So again, we're going to live forever, and that's what we're throwing out here.
We're going to live forever. There's nothing you can do about it.
There's nothing you can't stop us. We're happy, and we're going to prioritize our happiness. Avoid chronic stress and anxiety. Now, this is definitely one that I battle, because I do struggle a little bit with that stress and anxiety stuff, but if you can find ways to decrease it, it'll help. Chronic, yes.
Because I think that's an important point. I think that you've got to have some, haven't you? You've got to have like a bit of stress now and again, otherwise your life's going to, you'll die of boredom.
Right. You've got to have something that motivates you. You've got to feel that purpose, right? Yeah. I agree. So yeah, this is chronic. This is if you literally every day of your life, you're stressed and they're filled with anxiety over everything, and you can't seem to find happiness. That's definitely going to wear down on you through your lifetime. It just says, laughter.
Gotta find happiness. Yeah. And you gotta not be chronically stressed.
Yes.
Guys, if you want to live forever.
Find laughter, find optimism. Sometimes it's just as simple as looking on the bright side. And I've been trying to do this thing recently where when you start your day in the morning, you write down things that you're grateful for. And sometimes that just kind of switches the way that you're thinking about everything. If you've got a lot on your plate and you've got a lot going on, sometimes it's good to just stop and go, hey, I'm grateful that I got a roof over my head. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for these things. When you start your day in that optimistic, positive.
You have Thanksgiving every morning.
Every morning I have things. And I have the turkey, and I have the mashed potatoes, and I'm Christian Bailing, and
in one day, Jacob does all of this.
All of this. I celebrate Thanksgiving.
Is my microphone, I feel like it's dropping lower and lower. Can you still hear me, or can I take a moment to raise it?
You can definitely take a moment to raise it.
So if there's crazy noises, then please either ignore them, or there'll be a little jump in the timeline as I make noises to get my microphone up. I apologize to the audience for this. This is it. We did it.
Good.
Time in. Beep,
time in. Game on.
Game on.
All right. I'm going to wrap these up so that we can get to what I'm excited to talk about next. Okay.
This wasn't it? This is what it was you were excited about?
No, I'm more excited about what we're going to touch on next, which is, okay. So these last three. Okay. Nurture your social circle. This is your friends. Keep your relationships good and strong.
Jacob, did you add that one just so that because you wanted to spend more time hanging out because we're not playing it over enough?
No, Noel, I didn't add it at all to this list right here. This is definitely on the screen and not handwritten note that says nurture your social circle. I want to go.
There's marker on your computer screen.
It's on the iPad. It's Sharpie.
Oh, it's on an iPad. Yeah.
Says nurture your social circle. Just take care of your friendships, your close friendships. This isn't about your social media. This is about your social circle. So shrink it down, ladies and gentlemen. These are the people that matter the most. That's who you need to be focused on. Nurture them.
Care for them. Keep
Feed
those
them
relationships active. Grapes, legumes.
Yes.
And the occasional nut. It'll make them healthier.
Exactly. Go for a walk with them.
Go for a walk. Don't stress out.
Don't stress out. Don't have chronic anxiety and
stress.
Don't
have chronic anxiety. You don't need it.
Be optimistic. Look at them every day and be thankful for them and say, hey, I'm thankful for you, buddy.
Have Thanksgiving with your friends every morning.
Hey, there you go. You're getting the gist of it.
I get it.
Okay. Be more conscientious.
Okay.
Drink coffee or tea.
What's that mean?
Oh, you want me to read this? Okay. Conscientiousness refers to a person's ability to be self-disciplined, organized, efficient, and goal-oriented. So based on data from a study that followed 1,500 boys and girls into old age, kids who were considered persistent, organized, and disciplined lived 11% longer than their less conscientious counterparts. So
conscientious.
Yes. So that is taking it upon yourself to get your ducks in a row, get things in order. And it's hard to do that. But sometimes, especially over the past 6 months that we've been living in a completely new way of life, it is hard to get your ducks in a row. And sometimes it's hard to do things in a specific, organized way because everything seems so chaotic. But I think that if you find ways, one at a time, just to go, okay, I'm going to focus on this thing right here, and then I'm going to focus on this thing right here. That's going to overall organize your mind, your headspace, and reduce anxiety and stress.
I mean, I think all joking aside, I'm really glad actually. I'm glad they put that one in there. I'm glad there's a lot of mental stuff.
Yes,
it's a lot of like mind frame. Like how was your how are you looking at life? Because like conscientiousness is honestly something that's like. It's not talked about a lot. It's actually not kind of prized anymore to some degree. Like I feel like, I think it is when you're dealing with someone, but I don't think that it's necessarily pushed anymore. It's not considered important these days in this new kind of social media, immediate gratification, do what you can at that moment to be, to be great and at damn all the costs. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think that we live in a day and age where it's everybody kind of is being so gentle with each other all the time that it's not also being like, but remember, having that drive, that organization and dedication to what you want to get done is going to help you up here too. It's going to help your body be able to navigate life. If everybody's patting you on the back all the time and giving you that instant gratification, it's not really going to develop you into a stronger person in your character and how you deal with things.
How are you going to be thoughtful about your goals in life in general, and how that affects others, and what are their goals in life, and how are we going to work together to nurture our friendships? Sorry,
we're going to live forever.
We're going to live forever.
Last two, and then we're going to get on to the thing that I wanted to hit on the most, which is, so drink coffee or tea. Now, I know you recently had kind of reduced this out, so I'm going to read this.
I was having some acid reflux stuff going on with my mystery disease that I got. And so one of the things they're recommending is that if you take the caffeine out, that it can help to control, and it did, by the way. It worked.
Right.
It worked. But they're saying that if I have it, I'm going to live longer forever.
Well, if your doctor does recommend, or your medical professional recommends that you reduce it, then I'm not going to go against them. So if you're listening to the show right now and they say you should cut it out, then please, by all means, listen to them. They're just saying as a general rule that both coffee and tea are linked to decreased risk of chronic disease. For instance, the polyphenols and catechins found in green tea may decrease your risk of cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. So in green tea specifically, there's good things to be had there. Similarly, coffee is linked to a lower risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and certain cancers and brain ailments such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So again, these are yeah.
I mean, come on.
Come on.
I was doing mine specifically because of a problem that had to be solved.
Right. So it's probably
And that
something
problem
that
has been solved. So
you could
maybe,
probably reintroduce it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I love coffee and tea. I love them so much.
Yeah.
And being without them for a couple months
has been hard.
It's not great.
That's not great. Well, you could in moderation. I'm guessing, depending on what your health requires. But
right.
I would imagine, when we talk about coffee and tea, if you're a coffee drinker and you're doing 2 pots a day, that's
too much.
That's probably too. If it's the size of a big gulp worth of coffee, and that's the only thing that you can wake up with, you need to maybe reconsider how much coffee intake you have. So,
right.
But
too much of anything will kill you.
Exactly. Too much, even water.
Yeah.
So,
literally.
And then the last one on the list is develop a good sleeping pattern. I think we all know how crucial a good night's sleep is, and getting that feeling of I got to bed, I got up, and the magical time when you are getting up on a regular basis and your body just does it automatically. That is the best feeling in the world, when you eyes open without an alarm and you go, hey, let's start the day.
I read Note again. Jacob, I don't know if you know this. I do
know this about you.
Read books.
I never learned how to read. I never learned how to read. These are all symbols that I'm looking at on my
These
iPad.
days, honestly, it's you can get them all on tape. You don't even have to read anymore. Just listen. Just listen to your books. But I do. I like to read. And one similarity between George Washington and Ben Franklin, 2 of our founders of this nation, is they were very big on waking up with the sun, waking up early. You get up with the sun, and then you start your day, or even a little before if you can. And you start your day before everybody else, so that by the time everyone else is up and about and going, you're already charging. You're already you've gotten some stuff done, and you're moving and you're grooving. And that you do that, and you end up having you end up being smarter and healthier and living longer. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was an article somebody sent me once about how these top, millionaires, billionaires, successful CEOs, they all got up at 4 a.m. Yeah. And it was because they really wanted to get all the things done before the noise of the world.
Before the mess.
Yeah. Those hours from 4 to 6, 4 to 7, it's like the world's still sleeping, and nobody's going to interrupt you. Nobody's going to bother you. And if you're awake and at them, you can really tackle the day just as everybody else is, getting out of bed and getting in the shower, and you can be like, well, finish my work. It's it really is impressive. I've had periods of my life where I've gotten up early, and it is remarkable once you get past the difficulty of adjusting to the new time. It is really great. It is great to have those quiet times in the morning. So I agree with that.
You end up going to bed a little bit earlier, so people start to call you square. But you know what?
Exactly.
So you're square. I'm going to be square at 130. What are you going to do at 130?
Exactly. I'm going to be square and live forever, is what we're trying to say. No, but okay. So those are from the health science side of things. But this is what I wanted to get into, and when we decided to do this.
So now that the boring stuff's done.
Now that the boring stuff's done. No, and really, I'm glad I saved it till the end, because I don't know if it's enough of a topic that would let us go for a long period of time, but it was something that I was like, I really want to know if you know about this, because I first stumbled across it in the Zac Efron Down to Earth series.
Well, of course.
Blue zones. Are you familiar with blue zones?
Tell me about blue zones. I'm not.
Blue zones are the 5 locations in the world where they have discovered the highest population of centenarians.
Really?
Yes.
That is fascinating.
Yes,
okay.
So there are 5 locations in the world, and this all started basically, there was a doctor, they were doing concept of blue zones grew out of the demographic work done by Dr. Gianni Pez and Michael Poulain, outlined in the Journal of Experimental Gerontology. And so they were doing this study, and then they got this guy involved named Dan Buettner. He's the Blue Zones founder, which now you can go online and look at Blue Zones, which is an organization. He's a National Geographic Fellow and multiple New York Times bestselling author. But these guys all came together, and they cover this on, spoiler alert, they cover this on Down to Earth, but it's pretty funny. They're talking with Dr. Gianni Pez, and they're asking, how did you land upon Blue Zones? And he's like, I was traveling and we were in the first location and I had a blue marker on me and I marked it on the map with a blue marker. And then the next location I did that and I just called them blue zones because it was the only color marker that I had. And so they're revealing on the show, so he's saying like, so if you had a yellow, they would be called yellow zones. And he's like, exactly. It was just the color. That's the only reason why they're called blue zones.
I was thinking with like, cause like when I was a kid, grandparents would dye their hair blue. Like grandmas.
It's true.
Like that's like so you like my grandma had blue hair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like that was like not a very not a deep blue, but like a gray kind of blue
color.
Yeah, like hair, right? So I thought it was just because
they're old,
like the grandma color, right? Like it's the blue hairs.
Blue hair. It's the blue hair.
I like that marker. It's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just kind of funny. It's I do highly recommend the episode. They basically but they only go into the one city of Sardinia. And Sardinia is Barbagia region of Sardinia, mountainous highlands of inner Sardinia with the world's highest concentration of male centenarians. So in the episodes, they're in Sardinia and they stay in a village and walk around and learn. And what's so interesting about this time in the show is they eat carbs, they drink booze, but they're living in hundreds and past in this city. And so the other locations of the other four blue zones. So you've got Sardinia, then you've got Icaria, Greece. Okay. Then you've got the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica. Okay. You have the Seventh-day Adventists, which is the highest concentration, is around Loma Linda, California. They live 10 years longer than their North American counterparts. And then the final is Okinawa, Japan. Females over 70 are the longest lived population in the world. So those are the 5 blue zones. And what's so interesting about this?
And 2 of them that are within spitting distance of us.
I know, right? We should go. Let's go on a road trip.
Why?
Exactly. So this is what I wanted to touch on is they kind of experience it a little bit in the show too, which is here's Zac Efron, who we've joked about with the dad bod, who has been through rigorous Hollywood training to look like he does in Baywatch. And he jokes on the show about how he went 8 months without even having a piece of bread and just fed a ridiculous amount of protein. And they're sitting there and they're eating, and these doctors, and they're like, the human body is not supposed to have that much protein, and it's good to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and they're kind of bringing it down, and you realize that these people that live in these villages, they're not going to the gym every day, they're not crushing it, they're not just sitting there eating plates of protein and no carbs and and doing all these things, but they're living to be very long. One factor, of course, is the very genetics of the people in that region have kind of evolved into such a way to just pass down the genetics to live this long. Right. But they have found that there's a commonality between all of them. And this is why I wanted to say these for a second, is that I read you the list of what scientists and doctors have found through their research. These are the principles that they call the Power 9 of the blue zones that they found amongst all of them. Number 1 is move naturally. The longest lived people don't pump iron, run marathons, or join gyms. Instead, they live in environments that constantly nudge them into moving without thinking about it. So they grow gardens, and they don't have mechanical conveniences for yard work. They just have to get up. They have to move around. It is a normal part of their life to be moving. And so that was something found in all of these regions. Okay. Purpose. The Okinawans call it ikigai, and the Nicoyans call it plan de vida. For both, it translates to why I wake up in the morning. Knowing your sense of purpose is worth up to 7 years of extra life expectancy. So this is from Blue Zones. This is not from a doctor. This is from people that research, and this is what they found. This purpose, getting up and being driven. Okay. Downshift. Even people in the blue zones experience stress. Stress leads to chronic inflammation associated with every major age-related disease. What the world's longest-lived people have that we don't are routines to shed that stress. Okinawans take a few moments each day to remember their ancestors. Adventists pray, Icarians take a nap, and Sardinians do happy hour. So it's about finding something every single day to just hit the pause button and just stop. Take a minute, it's like when we were in Madrid with the siesta. It's that afternoon time where everybody goes like, let's just chill for the next hour. Let's stop working.
Take a moment.
And really enjoy life. So there you go.
Okay.
Now this is the 80% rule. This ties back to one of the things that we learned from the science standpoint. 80% rule is Hara Hachibu. The Okinawan 25-year-old Confucian mantra said before their meals reminds them to stop eating when their stomachs are 80% full. So the 20% gap between not being hungry and feeling full could be the difference between losing weight or gaining it. So they call it the 80% rule. When you feel like you're about 80% full, stop. And that goes back to not overeating.
Don't overeat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So these connect together. Plant slant. Nice little rhyme here. Beans, including fava, black, soy, and lentils, are the cornerstone of most centenarian diets. Meat, mostly pork, is eaten on average only 5 times per month. So this is something we've covered on the show before. You can eat meat, but you don't need to have a plate of ribs every day. It's probably not going to be good for you or the environment in general. So you can have meat, but maybe keep it a little bit on the I'm going to have it once a week type thing.
Plant slant.
Yeah, plant slant.
Okay.
Wine at 5. People in all blue zones, except Adventists. They were the ones that didn't have this. They drink alcohol moderately and regularly. Moderate drinkers outlive non-drinkers. The trick is to drink 1 to 2 glasses of wine per day, with friends or with food. And no, you can't save up all week and have 14 drinks on Saturday. So they totally ruined my idea.
I love that they had to put that in there.
They had to put that in there, right? 7 is belong. All but 5 of the 263 centenarians we interviewed belong to some faith-based community. Denomination doesn't seem to matter, but research shows that attending a faith-based service 4 times per month will add 4 to 14 years of life expectancy. So most of these places that were in the world, they had some congregation, community that they met with that led them to believe in a higher power, a higher purpose, a belief system in their heart, something to lean on to. So whatever floats your boat, I'm just letting you know that it seems to work for life expectancy. So.
Right. Well, the other thing about that in general, and I think almost the original purpose of most of the ancient churches anyway, but like the kind of a common thing that you'll find with all of them is to bring you back to ground you again, to be like,
yes.
Okay, so let's not forget the golden rule. Let's not forget how we should be treating each other, how, what's important, what isn't important, what we should care about, what are your values. Like having some place to come back and sort of remember, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't be robbing my neighbor's eggs from their chicken stash every day.
What are the things that I can control? What are the things that I can't?
Right.
Do you want to, right? Like all those philosophies that seem to universally cross all faiths is this kind of, these ideas that really center you and ground you. Good point. Good point. Yeah. Number 8, loved ones first. Successful centenarians in the blue zones put their families first. This means keeping aging parents and grandparents nearby, and they commit to a life partner and invest in their children with time and love. So they found that centenarians that really valued their parents and their children and their loved ones, their partners in marriage, that just increases your time, So it's a good. It's doing well for me so far as it's doing well for you. So
thus far we've lived forever.
So far we are 8 for 8. Then number 9, the last one, the world's longest lived. Number 9 is called Right Tribe. The world's longest lived people chose or were born into social circles that supported healthy behaviors. So Okinawans created moais, MOAIS. Groups of 5 friends that committed to each other for life. Research from the Framingham study shows that smoking, obesity, happiness, and even loneliness are contagious. So the social networks of long-lived people have favorably shaped their health behaviors. So that goes back to that community, that circle of friends.
And we're talking about actual social networks.
Yes.
Not digital ones.
Not digital ones. These are the people in your life.
Because the digital ones are too many people, and you're not with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Think about, and this goes back to, when you had a friend in high school or college or even the early parts of your life that was always negative, and you found over time that if you couldn't get them to snap out of it, these were friendships that weren't healthy friendships, and you often had to distance yourself from these kind of people because their negative thinking would then rub off on you, and then you became, so it goes back to that surrounding yourself with those friends and relationships that you get together with that person, and they lift you up and they build you up, and they're there for you. They're an ear of love and support, and you do the same for them, and you really help cultivate a longer life because you're not just sitting there and complaining about everything all the time. I mean, there is a place for that in a healthy venting way, but overall, you don't want your friends just to like everything stinks,
Right.
So
right. Yeah. No, that's great. I was thinking about comedians in cars getting coffee. When
great show.
Jerry Seinfeld, he meets up with
Mel Brooks,
Carl Reiner.
And Mel Brooks,
And Mel Brooks, and unfortunately Carl Reiner just passed recently at like 98, right?
Yeah.
I think he was 98 and I was looking at those two together with their daily. They get together and they watch Jeopardy or something. Whatever. They watch some. It was Jeopardy. Yeah, they watch Jeopardy. And they have their scotch or whatever their martini. I think it is. And they just sit there and they chat away. And then Jerry got to be part of it that night. That's a great episode. And I watched that and I was thinking, well, that's okay. Like you could that would be a kind of a pleasant golden years thing to do with your friend, right? And maybe when Carl Reiner died, I actually felt I felt so sad for his family, but I felt extra sad because I was thinking about Mel Brooks. And I was like, oh man,
me too.
That guy
it's the first thing I thought of.
He lost his best friend.
Yeah. And you think about the purpose behind that. You think about being older and, being a blue hair and having somebody that you are looking forward to. That goes back to that getting up every day and having a reason to keep going really would make you want to keep living and keep being on this earth. If you had that friendship, that relationship, the routine of Jeopardy and martinis or whatever. So I think that we have to commit to that now. Are you ready?
Okay. I'm in.
Okay.
All right.
It doesn't have to be Jeopardy. We can pick a new show, but I think that if we're gonna really follow through with what we're promising on the show to live as long as humanly possible, then we're gonna have to just do exactly what Carl Reiner.
We're gonna have to watch the Zac Efron show, whatever it is, at that time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So good. I read a lot of lists on this episode. I know I didn't mean to bore anybody with going through things.
Fun.
But what was cool about it was you had this, here's this, health science, and then there's this one about, okay, there's these people in the world, these centenarians that are living to 100 beyond. Yeah. And you saw the similarities between these philosophies. Yeah. And so I wanted everybody to just kind of, there's another article here that I was going to read, but I don't want to read too much. It was a people who'd lived beyond 100, the things that they said got them there. So they interviewed a bunch of people who were like 117, but it was a lot of what we just talked about. There were only a few funny ones, and that's why I wanted to say it, which was this one lady was like, men are too much trouble. I never got married, so that's why I lived this long. She was a lady who just like stayed single, and then there was another lady who was like, I ate dessert every day, so again, these were just more humorous because I thought their reasons for living past 100 were probably so many factors, from genetics.
And I read something about one guy whose thing was he had a Coors Light every day. Like every afternoon he has his Coors Light, and that's how he's lived to 102. And I was like, rock and roll.
Exactly. And so, and there was some lady in here, I think, who said something about smoking. And I thought, I mean, these are funny because, you made it to 115, but it wasn't that one thing that got you there, for sure.
It wasn't smoking that got you there. You just, that's right.
It wasn't the Coors every day. It wasn't the Big Mac every day. It was, you had a lot of things rooting in your favor to keep you around. And you just along the journey found a really sweet loophole, and
you're taking advantage of it, and God bless you for it.
God bless you for it. I hope that when I'm 117, they interview me, and I go, you know what? I had a chalupa every single day, and that's the secret.
The secret for me was Chalupa Fridays.
Fridays.
It just got it done. That's what it took.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder what it's going to be. I wonder what that thing is going to be.
What is going to be the thing, right? When they interview
you. When we're 276 years old, and they're like, you seem to be living forever. What is it?
What is your secret?
I wonder what we're going to identify at that moment.
I know. I can't wait. Can't wait to find out. But that was it, man. That was the Biofriendly Podcast, and this is the point is that we're gonna live forever.
That's the only point of this thing. Again, knocking on wood and hoping that I'm not waiting for a car to drive through my window. Knock on wood.
But we will continue to be your beacon of light in a gloomy environment.
Not just charismatic megafauna.
With featuring greater parasympathetic nerve activity.
Dolphins don't quit.
Nature is perfect. Look at eggs.
We are y'all inclusive.
We are y'all inclusive. And I know I said I was going to go back and listen to Weird Energy and find whatever it was that we were talking about, but I totally forgot to do it.
Which means it's gone.
It's gone. It's out and it's gone. It's fallen into the vapor, and it doesn't matter anymore.
It's fallen into the vapor.
Mm-hmm. But should we add that we're going to live forever?
Yeah. And we're going to live forever.
And we're going to live forever.
Yeah. Okay.
Although then we have
Why
to
not?
end.
Let's tempt fate.
Let's tempt fate as much as possible, right?
Every day we tempt fate. Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Great show, buddy.
Well, thank you, Jacob. That was a good time. And thank you, audience, for listening. Don't forget to tell your friends about the Biofriendly Podcast. The more friends you tell, the more people we can talk to. And then we can teach them how to live forever as well.
Yeah, you need to send this episode to everybody you know that you want to live forever. And share it on your social media, in your social circles. Call your aunts, call your grandparents, and tell them.
Oh, and reviews help.
Yeah, reviews, right?
If you hate the show or love the show or whatever, drop a review. We love those. Those are so nice. We love them. So
you can
iTunes
on iTunes. You can write some good reviews. We got some nice ones in there, and you can go on YouTube. You can comment underneath, whatever you want to do. But give us some feedback. If we're not covering something and you want us to cover it, then let us know.
Let us know. Come join us on the Painless Green on Facebook.
Yeah, the Painless Green.
And tell us what we're doing wrong.
Yeah, and it's a private group too. So you see when you join it,
you're not going to get
harassed
by weirdos.
Yeah.
I mean, except us.
We'll harass you.
We will definitely harass you. Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. See you next time.
See ya.
Bye. It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.